Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Into the Hive Mind. Today we've got a battle report featuring the new Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip. In this detachment, we are featuring him in Invasion Fleet leading two 20-man Termagant squads. This is basically a copy-paste of my list that I just won a golden ticket with. So Invasion Fleet with double Norn, double Hive Tyrant, followed by 12 Tyrant Guard, and keeping with the 2 units of 20 Termagants. The only changes that I had to make from that list were I dropped Death Leaper and a unit of 10 Hormagaunts, assuming that the Lash Whip Prime is 70 points per model. So with that, dropped Death Leaper and Hormagaunts, brought in 2 Tyranid Primes, and attached them to these 20-man Termagant squads. But other than that, deploying on the line, I've still got my 2 Neurolictors, and I am going fixed Cleanse Engage all game long. It worked really well for me last weekend, so just continuing it. And I am playing against my teammate, Nick Melville. Again, he's been playing Death Guard for, 2 years straight. He's really just been crunching the numbers and getting really good with his Death Guard. He is playing the Virulent Vectorum detachment. He said he kind of took this list, he just copy-pasted it from someone who did really good in the UK, the Manchester GT, or Manchester Super Major. He said he just took that list because it did really well and he wanted to try it out, but he has been playing Virulent Vectorum for a while. So his list, he has 2 units of Poxwalkers, which as you can see are scouted or infiltrated forward onto the 2 objectives. They are both trailing back to be within 6 of Mortarion. Mortarion gives you a reactive move, or a fight on death, or a shoot back, but in this case it's going to be a reactive move. So either objective that I move towards, that he could just do a 6-inch reactive move with the Poxwalker squad. He does have, of course, 3 Blight drones with heavy Blight launchers. Those are all the ones that are hidden back behind the ruins in his backfield. He has the Tallyman sitting on his home and hopefully getting him command points. And then he has obviously Mortarion and the Demon Prince known as Mini Mortarion, as he has an enhancement for a 5-up Feel No Pain. He is also Toughness 12 with a 2-up, 4-up. So also very difficult to kill, and he has Lone Op as long as he's next to Death Guard guys. And then the other big change to this list from what he normally runs, he normally has 2 units of 3 Death Shroud Terminators, and instead we have a full 10-man Death Shroud Terminator brick in reserves, ready to Deep Strike. The final unit being you do have 10 Plague Marines in the Rhino with Plague Caster and I don't know. It's the 2 characters that combo, so you get lethal sustained crit on 5s. It's really good. And he has a pretty good flamer as well inside that Rhino, so pretty good shooting Plague Marines. I had to ask him how many points that unit is worth because every time it activates, it's just insane. He said 390 if you include the Rhino. So that's actually cheaper than what I expected. I was kind of expecting like 450, 460. But it's a really good combo. That's the same cost as my Hive Tyrant with Tyrant Guard. That being said, we are playing Mission D, Scorched Earth. So you get 5 points for holding an objective, 5 points for holding 2 objectives, and you can do an action that requires you to not only survive, but hold the objective for an entire battle round. But if you do so, the objective is removed from the table and you get to score 5 extra victory points or 10 extra victory points if it was your opponent's home objective. So with that being said, let's get into the game and see who goes first. So I managed to win the roll to go first, which is great. It means I get to start setting up my Cleanse Engage right off the bat, although it does give Nick a bottom of turn for Scorched Earth, which pretty much is guaranteed. He's going to be up by 5 on primary, pretty much just right off the bat, unless I table him. Spoiler alert, I'm probably not tabling him. Nids are not good at tabling people. So that means that I have to play extra aggressive in order to offset this bottom turn advantage that he has, which is fine with me. So as we get into the movement, I do take advantage of going pretty aggressive. First thing that I do, this Norn down here requires a 5-inch advance to get onto that objective. I rolled a 3, used my free strat from the Hive Tyrant to try and get that 5, re-rolled it, got a 2. So unfortunately, I do not make it. I decided to go anyways, but I also, unfortunately, with my fixed Cleanse Engage, I do not make it across the halfway line here, and only make it to just kind of out in the open with the Norn right there. Up here, I do run forward with the winged or the Lash Whip Prime with his Termagant friends, which does trigger the reactive move from the Poxwalkers just back behind this ruin from Mortarion. And my Tyrant Guard tuck into the wall here, but my Hive Tyrant stays behind, so that way this unit is still hidden. Swarmlord and friends kind of remain where they're at, just doing a slight shuffle, but still remaining hidden there as well. I do not want his light launchers to be able to shoot my Tyrant Guard. They can shoot anything else in my army, but not my Tyrant Guard, at least not turn 1. The other thing, I advance forward with Gaunts and this other Prime. However, these guys are trailing all the way back and around, so I have probably like 8 of them here, and then trailing all the way back around to be in Venomthrope range and be within Hive Tyrant range, just in case. And the Venomthropes kind of move out to here, where they are actually also, because this unit is also trailing back. It's a 20-man Gaunt squad, so they are within range of the Venomthropes and the Hive Tyrant as well. Next is the Norn, who just walks forward and does a cleanse, and this Neurolictor actually moves and just kind of walks into that ruin right there. And to finally get some engage, I shoot a Spore Mine. Even if I could, I'm only going to get a 2 on engage either way. So I bring a Spore Mine and shoot it over by the Norn. Basically just getting me that engage on that table quarter, but also preventing any kind of advance move against the Norn. That is not necessarily... Death Guard don't have any advance and shoot or advance and charge, but because this is turn 1, all of the auras from the Death Guard, all the pestilential auras or whatever they are only 3 inches. And with the Poxwalkers right there, this is basically preventing them from advancing to get close to the Norn and giving the Norn the -1 save Pox, which is the one that he elected to go with, which makes sense. I only have Norns with invulns, and everybody else has just a armor save. Final bit of movement that I have is this Neurolictor here does walk up to kind of tuck in with this Gaunt blob, and he is the one who does cleanse on the center objective. So I cleanse with the Norn up here, and I cleanse with the Neurolictor here, getting me a 4-point cleanse, and then I have a 2-point engage, having obviously my 2 table halves plus the Spore Mine, getting me the 3rd table quarter. And yeah, that is the end of my turn 1. I do actually get to manage to take a few pot shots with my Termagants down here. I had all of 2 pistols and 2 flamers in range of the Poxwalkers, and I killed 1 with the Dev Wound Flamer. So good job, Gaunts. Also, I did choose lethal hits versus monsters and vehicles. I'm sure you can understand why. He does have 2 very large infantry bricks, but if I'm attacking those, I will just spend a CP to go into the sustained hits against infantry. And but yeah, for now, we have lethal hits versus monsters and vehicles. But that is the end of my turn 1, where I do score a big 6 secondary points, and we go into Nick's turn 2. Sorry, Nick's turn 1. But he ends up drawing no prisoners and storm hostile. So not too bad. Just go kill all the stuff in the middle and take that objective from me, and you max all your points. Easy, right? So first off, he does end up stickying his expansion objective with those Poxwalkers. And then in terms of movement, the Poxwalkers actually go and retreat back because he couldn't advance onto the Norn to put it into contagion. He just advances back behind the wall instead. Meanwhile, both of these Blight drones kind of come down and poke out, going to shoot the Norn, as well as this one comes out to here to get that angle right there, also to shoot the Norn. Meanwhile, he does want to go take the center, so Morty moves up to here, to charge and, get his kills and storm a hostile objective, of which I promptly do my Termagant reactive move, and I do roll the big 6 and get to retreat back to about here. Nicely done. Termagant reactive move. It'd be really fun to combo that with a Blood Surge if I wanted to, actually be in combat with him and tie stuff up. Obviously, Mortarion is not one of those things I want to try that with. So instead reactive back, and I am 7 inches away. Like, Mortarion got 1 inch up next to me, so I rolled a 6, and that turned it into a 7-inch charge. His Demon Prince also came forward. And then his Poxwalkers kind of moved back behind the terrain, while the Rhino full of dudes tucked into the corner there and positioned for next turn. Tallyman unfortunately failed his roll to get the command point. And yeah, that was it for his turn. So we go into shooting. We have Blight Drone. So he actually does spend 2 command points here to, well, I don't actually know. He's not in Vectorum from Swarmlord, but he spends command points where Mortarion is looking at the Norn, and so he gets to re-roll the number of shots against the Norn, which does help a lot. So all 3 Blight Drones fire at the Norn with re-rolling the number of shots. I, of course, pop my Feel No Pain on the Norn, and let's see. I don't remember exactly how much damage he does, but it was nothing serious. He ends up taking the Norn down, I think to like 11 wounds, maybe 9. Nothing crazy. I know I'm not degraded, but he starts chipping away at the Norn. But keep in mind, he's hitting me on 3s. I'm not in contagion range. I have cover, so I think I had a 3-up save. And then I did spend the CP for a 5-up Feel No Pain. So yeah, he's got D6 plus 2 shots each, re-rolling the number of shots, hitting me on 3s, lethal hits, but wounding me on 5s, and then I'm saving on 3s, and I have a 5-up Feel No Pain. So he starts chunking away, but I think he did like 5 damage total, leaving me down at 11. Next thing that happens, Mortarion does shoot at the Termagants, kills a few of them. Nothing crazy. I think he kills 5 of them. And then the Demon Prince also shoots in and kills 2 more. So I have lost 7 Termagants. I have 13 remaining. And yeah, that was it for shooting. Charges. Mortarion does elect to do the multi-charge and makes it into both. And then the Demon Prince, unfortunately, wants to charge the Neurolictor, but rolled a 5 and failed. I think he needed a 7 or a 6, but he, either way, failed the charge into the Neurolictor, so it was just Mortarion fighting all of these guys. Mortarion goes into his sweep attack mode, obviously, so 15 attacks, hitting on 2s, lethal, sustained, and wounding on 2s, just one-shotting me for 2 damage each. I do elect to do the Feel No Pain there. I use the free strat from the Hive Tyrant, and even though it is 2 damage, I'm hoping that, the couple that I make might just keep this squad alive. And sure enough, Mortarion hands me exactly 13 wounds at AP2. So as long as I make 1 save where the guy rolls both Feel No Pains, then I have a singular guy alive. And that is exactly what happened. Out of the 13 of them, only 1 of them made both Feel No Pains. But that means that there is a singular Gaunt left alive in combat with Mortarion, as well as the Winged Tyranid Prime. And I do deny the no prisoners point there because of it. The Prime punches back and actually does 2 damage to Morty. 1 of my 3 damage things went through, and then he made 1 Feel No Pain. And the Neurolictor also actually managed to chip 1 damage off of Morty. So he took 3 and was down to 13. Not too bad. And yeah, I completely denied no prisoners. However, Nick does get Storm Hostile for 4 points. Sorry, I take that back. Apparently he did decide to shoot one of the Blight Drones into the Spore Mine. So he did kill the Spore Mine and got 2 points for no prisoners, as the Spore Mine was the only thing that he killed. But then we are going into my turn 2. Going into my turn 2, I do get 10 points for holding 2 objectives, both my home and my expansion. And obviously, I'm continuing with Cleanse and Engage. I do owe a Battle Shock check on the 1 Termagant and Prime with Lash Whip. I managed to pass it with Synapse, so no worries there. Mortarion has now shoved himself right into the front of my army where I cannot ignore him, so I have to make that decision right now. Am I going to ignore him for the entire game, or am I going to dogpile him with my entire army right now and hope he dies? The nice thing is, I get 2 attempts at answering that question for free. Neurolictor tries to battle shock him. He rolls like an 8 and passes. Second Neurolictor right next to Morty also tries to battle shock him, and he rolls a 5. Unfortunately, Morty is just leadership 5, and there's no minuses, so he passes. But I almost got him. But so now it is a very real question. Am I deciding to go after him or not? He is not battle shocked. He has access to a -1 damage strat. If I don't kill him, he has a healing strat that also just does a ton of mortals to me. Speaking of, he did 2 mortals to the Neurolictor at the end of his movement phase last turn. So yeah, I really need to make that decision now. And I do decide, let's go for it. There's not much else I would be doing this turn other than ignoring him and scoring points. So let's go for it. Entire army into Mortarion. Let's try and bring him down right now. So with that, this Norn toe taps into this objective, but then rotates where his tail is poking out, and I can see Mortarion's, Morty's giant, I'm giant, but we can see each other despite the little piece of terrain right here. Then this Lictor falls back to make room for the Tyrant Guard that walk over here alongside the Hive Tyrant. Keep in mind, this is only a singular gaunt and dude, so they don't take up a lot of space. Swarmlord and friends come up over here. And I actually come all the way down with this guy and all of these gaunts as well. All the gaunts that were wrapped around are now moving into the terrain here and are slightly behind like this. So now this is how this entire unit is situated. This one Norn also walks around to be able to see and shoot Morty. And this Neurolictor walks up and does a cleanse. So I only get the 1 cleanse there. But I do go and shoot another Spore Mine. I shoot a Spore Mine, and I am able to fit it up there for an engage alongside with this Neurolictor. So I am going to get a full engage. My Gargoyles still get to remain in Deep Strike. He has screened out with Tallyman and a couple Poxwalkers on this objective. Actually, I think Tallyman walked back there. Poxwalker's onto his home just to intentionally to screen out. He was like, I do not want Gargoyles deep striking back on my home. And I understand why, especially because we're playing Scorched Earth. So, but yeah, I just move where everyone can just dogpile Morty, and then the Venoms come up, and the Biovore actually goes to like here. And then he does decide to rapid ingress his Blightlord Terminators, and he actually just puts them right here. Seeing that I'm going all in on Morty, he's like, if you want to fire 2 Melta shots at the Blightlords that are not even in Melta range, go ahead. Spoiler alert, I didn't. I wanted to go all in on Morty. So, yeah, 10 Blightlord Terminators, rapid ingress in, and they're all like right here, exactly 9 away from the Norn. So we get into my shooting. The Termagants shoot into Mortarion, including with the Dev Wound. I actually kind of underperform my roll. I only hand him, I think, 4 saves, which is crazy when I'm lethal, sustained, and wounding with Twin Linked. Like, average math says I'm handing him 12 saves. I only handed him 4, and he did make all 4 2-up saves. And unfortunately, my Dev Wounds, I handed him 1 Dev Wound, and he also made his Feel No Pain. So he took no damage from the Termagants. The Norn up here was not in Melta range, and he shot next. Got 1 hit through. I rolled a 2 on my damage, so I only did 2 damage there. But he did fail both Feel No Pains, bringing him down to 11. And then this Norn shot into Mortarion, and I actually did a CP reroll on one of my hit rolls. Got both of them to have hits, one of which was a lethal, and then the other one did wound. And he failed both invulns here, and was next to Swarmlord, decided not to CP reroll. or no, I didn't CP reroll the hit roll. I CP rerolled the damage because I rolled a 5 and a 1 on damage. I CP rerolled the 1 into a 1. We were playing on TTS, and the number of ones that I rerolled into ones was, I think, 90% of them. So, good to know. Don't do CP rerolls on TTS. But so yeah, my damage was 6, goes to 10 with because I was within Melta range here. I guess, yeah, the Norn was more like that, just to give you an idea. I was within Melta range, so 10 damage to Mortarion. He does decent, where I think maybe I didn't do as much damage earlier, but after that, he's down to 7 wounds after the Feel No Pains. So yeah, from his, 16 wounds, I think is what he starts with. He's now down to 7, all just from shooting. So 7 wound Mortarion that I'm looking at charging with both Hive Tyrants and even a Prime with Lash Whip, hoping to take him down. That is it for shooting, other than, yeah, the Spore Mine up in the top for engage. So we go to charges. My first charge is Swarmlord, who I think rolls a 5, which is actually kind of perfect because he gets in there and his Tyrant Guard get in there, but nothing crazy. He elects not to heroic with the Demon Prince. Then I make the charge in, I think I roll a 7 with the Prime and the Termagants. So they all come in and they swarm the objective. He does elect to heroic here, but away from the Prime, just where the Demon Prince can start whittling down all the Termagants. But that does cost him his free strat for the round, in addition to the other CP because of Vect. So he now only has 1 CP. So that means Mortarion cannot use any abilities, any strats or anything in this combat. He can't interrupt. He can't -1 damage because he is in the Vect aura. I don't know if that is the correct call in terms of not allowing Morty to do anything, but with him already being at 7 wounds, I think Nick just kind of consigned, yeah, okay, he has 7 wounds, he's getting charged by your entire army, he's going to die. So then the final charge was the Tyrant Guard, who get in. I think I actually rolled like a 4 here, but thankfully everyone was all right next to him anyways, so everyone charges into Morty. And then I do try the 9-inch charge from the Norn into the Blightlord Terminators, and I rolled like a 5, so failed that charge. Not worth the CP reroll because now I'm going in and I spend my 2 CP to crit on 5s with both Hive Tyrants and their entire Tyrant Guard. The Tyrant Guard go in from the Hive Tyrant and hand him a bunch of saves, of which he fails, I think, 3 of them, makes 1 feel no pain. So the Tyrant Guard do 2 damage, bringing Mortarion from 7 down to 5. And then the Hive Tyrant swings in with all 10 of his attacks. Also critting on 5s with my perfectly adapted reroll. And I rerolled a 1 into a 1 again because TTS. But the Hive Tyrant actually just kind of whiffs and actually only does 1 damage to Mortarion. So he made like the 3 saves that I handed him that were my flat 3 damage. And then I only handed him 1 save with the 2 damage. He failed it, but made a feel no pain. So the Tyrant Guard actually did more damage than the Hive Tyrant in this situation. And then I went in with Swarmlord's Tyrant Guard. They also did 2 damage after, I think I got to roll 20 of my 30 attacks. 2 guys were not able to get in combat. But with 20 attacks hitting on 3s, lethal on 5s, I handed Morty enough saves that he failed 2 of them and goes from 4 health down to 2. And then Swarmlord activates. Swarmlord does pretty good and hands him 6 invulnerable saves, of which I think he fails 4. And yeah, takes 12 damage, then makes, I think, half his feel no pains, but the 6 that go through is very much enough to take off the final 2 wounds off of Mortarion. But he does use his ability to fight on death on a 2+, manages to do so. I use my last CP to give a 5-up feel no pain to the Tyrant Guard of Swarmlord, which is who Mortarion decides to swing into. He does manage to kill 3 Tyrant Guard and put a 4th one down to 1. The feel no pain actually, I think, did nothing. He still one-shot all 3 Tyrant Guard, and then the 4th one did 3 damage, and I didn't make a feel no pain, but I lived on 1. So, but I did it. The entire army dogpiled Morty, and they did kill him. And then what that allowed was this Lash Whip Prime with the Termagants got to activate next, pile in, and actually attack the Demon Prince. One of my flat 3 damage attacks went through, did 3 damage. He made a feel no pain. So I did 2 damage to the Demon Prince. Not bad. I also actually handed him like 4 saves from the Termagants, which was hilarious because of the lethal sustained. But 2-up saves, so he passed all of them. And then on his swing back, he does have a pretty good sweep profile. I think he killed like 7 Termagants. Definitely not bad at all. But I do manage to get the full 4-point engage and only 2 points for cleanse because I decided to shoot Morty instead. And I'm glad I did. It paid off. So that means I'm going to 12 secondary points. And we are going into Nick's turn 2. Nick draws Bring It Down and Cleanse, and then scores 5 primary for holding his home. My Norn did unsticky his expansion objective, and yeah, obviously I'm back to holding the center. So Bring It Down and Cleanse. Nick really wanted to just completely ignore my Norns and kill off all of my Tyrant Guard this turn. But with drawing Bring It Down, he felt a little more obligated to go after the Norns anyways. So with that, he moves his Blightlord Terminators up here, and his Plague Drones move. One goes here, one goes here, one goes here. They all line up to shoot at my Hive Tyrants. But because he drew Bring It Down, he does elect for 1 play after the Norn. So he gets out his entire super unit with the Rhino over here. He positions them just barely outside of Swarmlord's Vectorum. He then tosses a grenade at the Norn. Does 1 more, like he hands me 3 mortals, but I make 2 of them. I take a damage. Then he shoots me with the entire Plague Marine unit. Oh, I am so sorry, guys. I'm missing. He also has a Flesh Mower drone that has been sitting here this whole game, and this guy also moves out to here. Sorry, I forgot about him, but he was just hiding back behind the terrain with the Rhino, and then he also is coming forward. So this is a Flesh Mower drone. The other thing is the Rhino drove and blew up the Spore Mine. So that is now gone. And he does spend a CP to re-roll all hits and wounds against units in contagion range. That's a very powerful stratagem. So he's shooting, he just puts the 2 anti-infantry 2-up flamers into the Neurolictor, and as well as the Rhino into the Neurolictor. So he also gets to re-roll wounds against the Neurolictor. And he does pretty good, but no, he does. He manages to actually kill the Neurolictor because of the one that failed. I had to remind him, I'm like, yeah, you get to reroll that because the Rhino shot me. And I have 1 wound left. And he rerolls the 1, gets the wound, and I fail the save. And he does kill the Neurolictor just with the Rhino and 2 Flamers. And then the entire rest of the unit shoots at the Norn and puts me down to 7. Yeah, I believe that's correct. So it does 9 damage to the Norn, not bad. Other shooting, the Blightlords shoot into my Hive Tyrant, and I ask him, I'm like, hey, are you scarier in combat or shooting? And he's like, oh, I'm definitely scarier in shooting because he gets a +1 strength and AP against units in contagion, which the unit is because of the Demon Prince. So they shoot, I use my last CP for the turn to pop Feel No Pain on these guys. Meaning he only kills 1 and leaves 1 alive with 1. So the Blightlords didn't do a ton of damage, but because I now have the Feel No Pain, he elects to swap with all of the Plague Drones and instead shoots at Swarmlord. And with that, he does manage to kill off the remaining 3 Tyrant Guard with the 3 Plague Drones. Not bad. But Swarmlord is unhurt, but the entire Tyrant Guard unit does die. That is shooting. We then get into charges. The Blight Lords charge into the Hive Tyrant, and he's like, yeah, you can definitely heroically intervene. I was like, no, I can't. I'm out of CP. So he charges in there. And the Plague Marines got out of the Rhino, so they can't charge, but the Rhino charges and tank shocks. Once again, hands me 3 Feel No Pains. I saving on a 4-up. I do pass 2 of them. I take 1 more. I go down to 4 wounds. And he does make the charge with the Flesh Mower. I think that that is it for charges. So going into combat, he goes with the Rhino first, right? Because I can't interrupt. Rhino does not do any damage to the Norn. The Flesh Mower hands me 4 saves because he got 3 lethal hits, and then 2 more of his hits rolled a... no, 1 more rolled a 5. So he hands me 4 saves total at AP2. I roll statistically average, and I make 2 of them, fail 2 of them, take 4 damage. I have 4 wounds remaining. I have a 5-up Feel No Pain, and I make 1. So the Norn is alive on 1, denying his Bring It Down. Meanwhile, the Blightlord Terminators down here managed to kill off the wounded Tyrant Guard as well as 1 other one, leaving me with still 3 Tyrant Guard left in this unit. And the Hive Tyrant swings back with the Tyrant Guard and I think kills 4 of the Terminators. That sounds right. 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4. So I kill 4 of the Blightlord Terminators, and the Norn swings back at the Flesh Mower and actually does 0 damage. I hand him 1 save and he makes it. The Norn just completely whiffed. And then I do get to attack once again with the Winged Prime and the Termagants into the Demon Prince. I think I do 1 more damage this time, and he swings back, and he actually finishes off the Termagant squad. So this guy's... the Death Guard sweep profiles are no joke. So, and then I take 1 damage on the Winged Prime. Then... yeah, that is it. He does not get Bring It Down. I have a Norn left alive on 1. He did not kill either of the Hive Tyrants. And he did not choose to cleanse. So he does not score any secondary points for turn 2, but decides to hold on to Bring It Down going into my turn. Hopefully he can get Bring It Down next turn or during my turn. So then we go into turn 3. My turn 3, I do once again get a 10 primary. My Norn passes his Battle Shock check, but I also hold all the objectives other than his home, so does not matter. Next up, Swarmlord moves up to like here, and then I stay in combat with both of the units in the center. The one Lash Whip Prime with a Termagant walks onto the center and cleanses. The Venomthropes kind of walk back down to here. This Neurolictor walks over to cleanse, while the Norn comes after these Blight Lords, which actually are more like... here, let's reposition this to now what it is more like. So it's more like this, and the Norn's going to charge the back end of these guys. I actually don't have a ton left. The only other thing is my Gargoyles show up just hiding behind the wall there because it is turn 3. So I have to come in. And yeah, I cleanse here. I cleanse here. And I am actually able to shoot a Spore Mine. And I'm able to put it like here. Just barely. So I do get the full engage again, assuming the Norn or Swarmlord survives. And then we get into shooting. The Norn fires 2 Melta shots into the Flesh Mower and manages to do, I think, 4 damage to it, leaving it on 6. And then Swarmlord's Flamer shoots into it and does 4 more damage, leaving it alive on 2, which is a little annoying. But I also didn't want it to explode and kill the Norn in the explosion. So, I don't know. That was it for my shooting, though. I did have this Norn fired. He actually moved over here to be just within 9 of this guy. Got 1 of the 2 Melta shots through and did 8 damage. I rolled the 6 there on the 1 damage that went through, but it is still alive on 2. And then we get into charges. The Norn charges into the back of these Blightlord Terminators. And Swarmlord multi-charges the Plague Marines and the Flesh Mower. And actually, the Venomthropes also charge in because he had one guy on 2 over here, and I was hoping to finish him off with the Venomthropes. And yeah, that was it for the charges. As soon as we get in, he cannot interrupt because of Vect, so I start with Venomthropes. And they, unfortunately, they do 1 damage, but not 2. So they leave a guy left alive on 1. And then the Norn manages to kill 4 more, leaving only a singular Blightlord Terminator, which he decides to pull out of combat with the Hive Tyrant, and leaves the single Blightlord Terminator in combat with the Norn. Oh, and I fell back with the Winged Prime, or the Lash Whip Prime, just to right there. So I did not want, because the Demon Prince was going to punch me first and definitely kill me. So I just fell back right there. Then we go to the top combat. I split Swarmlord's attacks. I put 1 into the Flesh Mower because I do not want the Norn to die from the Flesh Mower. And I'm like, I'm going to put 1 in. It should get me there. I'm hitting on a 2. I'm wounding on a 3, re-rolling. And if I roll a 1 to hit, I'll CP re-roll it. I rolled a 1 to hit, and I CP re-rolled it. This was the 10%, though, that I didn't roll a 1 again on the re-roll because I deleted the die, got a new die, and I think I rolled like a 4. Hit, rolled the wound. He failed the save. I do kill the Flesh Mower. It does not explode. So Blight Drone was destroyed by the 1 attack from Swarmlord, and then Swarmlord's 7 other attacks get to go into the Plague Marines. Hitting on 2s, and actually I did spend a command point to give both the Norn and Swarmlord sustained against infantry this turn. So 7 attacks hitting on 2s sustained, and then wounding on 3s twin linked. Swarmlord actually whiffed a little bit here and only handed him 5 saves. And then of those 5 saves, he made 2 of the 5-ups. So I only killed 3 Plague Marines, which unfortunately means on his clapback, he gets to pile in, and he actually has 3 guys that get to pile into the Norn, and then everyone else piles into Swarmlord. And Plague Marines are crazy. They kill the Norn with the 3 dudes. Admittedly, the Norn had 1 wound left, but they also killed off Swarmlord. I guess he did Overwatch Swarmlord coming in, and Swarmlord did take 6 damage in Overwatch. That's why he had no CP to interrupt. So unfortunately, Swarmlord had 4 wounds left, and the Norn had 1. And then I only killed 3 guys, and with the pile-in and clapback, he killed both Swarmlord and the Norn, which actually denied me my engage. So I only get 2 points on engage, but I do get a full cleanse. And the 1 Blightlord punches back, and I think actually does 2 damage to the Norn. So that actually was like an 11-point swing there with Swarmlord and the Norn dying. Honestly, I think I would have been better just not charging in and only charging the Flesh Mower, because, yeah, then he wouldn't have piled in and he wouldn't have killed the Norn or Swarmlord. But because he did, he got Bring It Down on my turn. He also is now going to get that primary objective, and he denied 2 of my engage points with that. So that was actually huge that those guys died. That was an 11-point swing. So to offset it, I then pop Shadow in the Warp. Just to try and this is the go turn. Everyone's on the table, so popping Shadow in the Warp. Only 2 things fail, I believe, but it's the important 2 things. It was the Plague Marine unit and the Rhino, and then actually I think the Tallyman. But everything else passed. But the things that failed were the things that were giving him the expansion objective. So he ends up actually not getting the expansion objective, and once again, only getting a 5 primary for holding his home. And then on top of that, his secondaries that he draws Assassination and Sabotage. So if I hadn't popped Shadows, this 1 Rhino could have driven over here and done a Sabotage in my deployment zone, and I wouldn't have really had anything to be able to hurt him. And yeah, he then, that was also, so I made up the 11 points back right there. 5 points for denying the primary and 6 points on the Sabotage. I think he doesn't even Sabotage. Oh, because the other thing that failed was these Poxwalkers here. That was the other unit that wanted to Sabotage. So everything that wanted to Sabotage, Battle Shocked. And yeah, Tallyman walks over and kills this Spore Mine. Actually, he can't make it with the walk, but he moves over, shoots, rolls a 1 to wound on his pistol, and charges in, does 1 to, or kills the Spore Mine, takes a mortal. Poxwalkers just wholly hold down his home. And he then lines up against... all of these guys get back in the Rhino. The Rhino comes down. I then reactive move, but he shoots and kills off the Termagants with the Plague Marines in the Rhino. There's only one Termagant left, but the character lives on 2 remaining. The Demon Prince comes down and charges and kills this Prime with Lash Whip, so he does get assassination there. But other than that, these Poxwalkers just go and movement block the Norn while these guys come forward. So he moves his Blight Drones like so, and all 3 of them line up and shoot at the Tyrant Guard, who do pop the Feel No Pain. He kills off, once again, he kills off the Tyrant Guard, and I think he does like 2 damage to the Hive Tyrant, bringing him down to 8. And then he falls back from the Norn. On my turn, the Norn... Yeah, so this is the end of this turn. He does get 5 points for assassination, but once again, does not score any sabotage. Oh, sorry. The Rhino and friends drove up. So let's put all of this here. And yeah, he got the assassination, but not the sabotage. He killed off the Termagants here. He killed off the Tyrant Guard here. He does get the assassinate for killing the Prime with Lash Whip. He left the Norn alone. And we go back into my turn. The Norn walks back here, getting ready to charge the Poxwalkers and shoot at the Blight Drones. And then actually I go up here. So I once again, sorry, turn 4. Let's do this correctly. Turn 4, I do score 10 more primary because I hold the center and my home, as well as, you know, my expansion, or his expansion. And I'm continuing with Cleanse and Engage. I walk over and I cleanse, and my Venomthropes come up here, and my Hive Tyrant comes up here. Oh no, sorry, Venomthropes actually cleanse. And so basically what ends up happening here is shooting is very quick. Sorry, and Gargoyles come up here. The Norn shoots at just the 2 wound Blight Drone, and he does manage to kill that. I actually do use a CP reroll on a hit roll there just to guarantee that he dies. Glad I did, because I handed him 2 saves and he made 1. And then the Norn charges in, doesn't kill all of them, but kills a fair amount and kind of ties them up. Meanwhile, the Prime with Lash Whip charges into the Demon Prince just to tie him up. Tied up the Demon Prince and stopped him from heroically intervening into the more important thing, which was the Hive Tyrant who charged here. Because actually these guys started making their way up here to go after this expansion objective during his last turn. So I go over here to charge, and I actually roll an 11, which allows me to swing around over here onto the backside of him, and then I do charge into the Poxwalkers here with the Norn. And the way combat goes, and then I charge the Rhino, and that works out, you know, about as well as you would expect. I do get to fully wrap the Rhino with these Gargoyles, so they just, here, I'm just going to completely cover the Rhino up because they fully wrap it, and I lose 1 Gargoyle with the Rhino punching me back, which is good. If I lost 2, I probably would have had to break coherency and lose quite a bit more, but I was able to lose 1 without breaking coherency, and I fully wrapped the Rhino there, so the guys cannot get out. The Prime, once again, I don't know if he actually did any damage here, but he tied him up, and then he dies horribly from the Demon Prince. The Norn kills off, I think, 7 of the Poxwalkers, but still has 3 remaining. But the Hive Tyrant does kill the Blight Drone here, and then I use my CP to overrun onto his objective, and I take his home, at which point Nick decides to call the game there. As far as points, I'm ahead by a ton. I've just now stolen his home. He's going to get a 0 on primary this turn, and I've locked down his Plague Marines. Like, the Rhino can shoot and kill off the Gargoyles, but that's what he's doing for his turn 4. Yeah, yeah, like he can take the center, but again, he's basically just going to get scoring for the bottom of 5, and that's really all he's going to get. This Norn here is still basically at full health. My Hive Tyrant here, I think, has 6 wounds remaining, and he doesn't, like, he either has to turn his Demon Prince around to go after him. This is a single Blightlord Terminator here. He just doesn't have a whole lot left. I mean, he has more than me, to be fair, but he is not going to be scoring any points. So with that, we called the game there. That leaves the final score. I mean, at this point in time, it was 66 to 35. Obviously, he was probably going to score like another 20 points over his turn 4 and 5 if you include secondaries as well. But yeah, I got another full cleanse and full engage with the gargoyles and shooting a spore mine, meaning I'm going to get another 8 points here. So that's going to be, yeah, 66 to 35 at the moment. Yeah, just too difficult for him to get back. So anyways, that was this practice game trying out the new Tyranid Primes with Lash Whip. They didn't actually do as much as I was hoping in this particular battle report, but I don't think that's because the plan was wrong. I think that's because they ended up just being in combat with Mortarion and Little Mortarion the entire time. The Gaunts actually did a good job of the reactive move at the beginning, baited Mortarion into basically sitting in front of my entire army. And then they were still there afterwards to continue doing actions. I did unfortunately give up an assassinate with one of them, whereas I might not have if I didn't have one. But to be fair, with the list that I was running previously, I did have Death Leaper, and he probably would have done the same thing. Still just died to the Demon Prince. So yeah, I think the guys are good. They didn't do anything spectacular. I think I chipped off 2 wounds off of Demon Prince and 2 wounds off of Mortarion. And the Termagants didn't actually do any damage, but again, 2-up save is not what the Termagants want to be shooting into. So I think that was more matchup dependent rather than them not getting to shine. But I don't think what they were doing was bad. They were, once the Gaunts died, I did still have the guys there to be resources that still got to cleanse. They still got to be engaged and tie stuff up. So they were still very useful. Even if they didn't get to particularly shine or improve the damage of the Termagants in this match or show off the Blood Surge. This was just not the matchup for that, but I still think they're pretty good. I will show off another battle report. I have not played a game yet, but I'm hoping to play with him leading warriors, and we'll see how that looks. So thank you all for watching. I will catch you all next time on Into the Hive Mind.